Hi, folks. I'm Peter Lemieux with Batter Sports and Rounding Third, and I tell baseball stories. I got a beauty here today. And one of the things that surprised me when I did my research is we have a character who is a great baseball player, a fundamental part of a world championship team who history is kind of faded on this guy. Why is that so surprising? Because in baseball, that happens to a lot of players. Why it's surprising is he was a New York Yankee. A New York Yankee. Now, what's the big deal? For most of the history of baseball, the news center, the entertainment center, the banking center of the United States was New York City. Everything flowed out of New York until things started to grow on the West. But for most of baseball, it was in New York. And when the Yankees did well, all of the United States heard about it. When the Yankees had good players, all of the United States heard about it. Now, to further get this clear, there have been 119 World Series, and the Yankees have played in 40 of them. That is one out of every 3 World Series the Yankees have played in. They've won 27 of them. There's no other team close to this. They have 27 Hall of Famers. No other team close to this. What happened here for this player, and I'm very quickly going to tell you who I'm talking about. The Yankees had not been in a World Series since 1962, and it was now the mid-70s. They were purchased by George Steinbrenner, more to follow. I want to talk to you about Thurman Munson. Thurman Munson was the Yankees catcher on a team in the 70s that had not been to the World Series in almost 12 years. In New York, that was unheard of. Yankees team of the 70s. I guess I could say this, and many of you will agree. It was chaos. It was crazy. It was a soap opera. George Steinbrenner is a picture example of micromanaging. He had his hands on every part of that team, and he had one rule: we will win. If it meant trading people, firing people, insulting people, we will win. And he was in the newspapers all the time. His manager was Billy Martin, one of the most fiery, fighting, undisciplined in his personal life people. He had Steinbrenner. It was like oil and water. George Steinbrenner fired Billy Martin 5 times and rehired him 4 times. There was constant clashing. To form the championship team, Steinbrenner went out and got free agent Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson is not a guy to keep his mouth shut. In fact, he was very outgoing in his opinions. One time, he called Steinbrenner a liar and a crook. But because Reggie Jackson hit a lot of home runs, he didn't leave the team. This was everyday soap opera, somebody fighting with somebody, somebody not getting along. Reggie Jackson claimed he was the straw that stirred the drink of the Yankees. If you stir a drink, you got all kinds of water flowing all kinds of places. Thurman Munson was the glass. He kept this mess together. Unassuming, he went out, did his job every day excellently. He was the Yankee catcher. They made it to the World Series in 76, 77, and 78, winning in 77 and 78. Thurman Munson's statistics in his short 11-year career were really impressive when you consider he was an everyday catcher. He had a lifetime batting average of .292. He won Rookie of the Year in 1970, hitting .302. He won Gold Gloves, 73, 74, 75. He had Gold Gloves. In 1976, he was named the most valuable player. That year, the Yankees voted him captain. There had not been a captain on the Yankees since Lou Gehrig. This guy was the one guy you could depend on. He wasn't causing all kinds of problems like Martin and Jackson and Steinbrenner. He just went out and did his job. He did his job excellently. All-Star 7 times. He hit over 300 as a catcher in 3 successive years. But that wasn't it. It was the playoffs. In the playoffs, he hit .373 in the World Series and .357 in all of the playoffs. Clutch. He was a great clutch hitter. In a championship series against the Kansas City Royals, the game was tied in the 8th. It was Thurman Munson hitting a home run to move them ahead. In one World Series in 1977, he threw out 4 out of 6 base runners of the Los Angeles Dodgers, who were known to be base stealers. He threw out 4 out of 6. In fact, when Thurman Munson's career ended, he had thrown out 52% of the people trying to steal. Now, you're putting this all together. A great catcher, a leader, a good hitter, clutch hitter. He had one problem. He played at the same time as Johnny Bench. And so Johnny Bench was known as the best catcher, maybe the best catcher of all time. And Thurman Munson played in his shadows. Wins above replacement from 69 to 79, Thurman Munson only trailed Johnny Bench. It was incredible. However, August 2nd, 1979, Thurman Munson on a day off, he loved flying airplanes. He had purchased an airplane, and it was something he was excited about. The Yankees did not like him flying airplanes, but they couldn't stop him. On his day off, he went home, flew an airplane. It crashed, and Thurman Munson died in the middle of the year. The Yankees had won World Series in 77 and 78. Their emotional and foundational leader was gone. I'm going to now tell you what happened next. The Yankees wanted to call the game off. The family of the Munsons said, don't do that. He would not want you doing that. They celebrated Thurman Munson officially on August 6th, the day of his funeral. Several players had flown to his funeral. His friend Bobby Mercer spoke at the funeral and wept during his talk. So they come home for Thurman Munson night at Yankee Stadium, and Bobby Mercer went to Billy Martin and said, put me in the starting lineup. He was not a starter at this point in his career, and they did. Stadium filled, moment of silence for Thurman Munson. The Yankees take the field. 8 players go out on the field, no catcher. And the team stood there with nobody at home plate. And for 8 minutes, the crowd just cheered for Thurman Munson. A couple of things about Thurman Munson. In 1977, when they won the World Series, I looked up the Yankees' offensive statistics. Offensive. They had a guy named Mickey Rivers who batted .326, the second highest batting average on the team. Thurman Munson, .308. Home runs, they had a home run hitting third baseman named Craig Nettles, who hit 37, and of course Reggie Jackson, who hit 32. Third in home runs, Thurman Munson at 18. RBIs, Reggie Jackson, 110. Craig Nettles, 107. Thurman Munson, 100. Remember, this is our leader, our defensive stalwart, leading the team in the top 3 in offensive categories. Played in 3 World Series with a batting average of .373, with 12 RBIs, 7 in 1 year. It's the only catcher in the history of baseball to throw out at least 7 runners in 3 different postseasons. The only one who's done that. So here he is being admired. People were crying on national television, but they are losing the game. It's 4-1 late in the game. Bobby Mercer comes up to bat with man on base and hits a home run. As unlikely as it seems. I think prior to the game, Bobby Mercer hadn't had a hit in 15 at-bats, making the game 4-3. Now, as if you couldn't write it better, the bottom of the ninth, 2 people on base, Bobby Mercer, line drive down the left field line, both runners score, Yankees win in the bottom of the ninth. Bobby Mercer is mobbed, and he is crying his eyes out, as are most of the people in the stadium. I found out later that Thurman Munson and Bobby Mercer had something in common. They are 2 of a relatively small list of baseball players who fought in Vietnam. Both of them did, and they were best friends. After that game, Thurman Munson's locker was sealed behind plastic and remained there for the rest of the year. They then left it there, and it was Thurman Munson's locker. When Derek Jeter was elected the next captain of the Yankees, he put his locker next to Thurman Munson's until they tore down Yankee Stadium and went to their new stadium. When they got to the new stadium, Thurman Munson's locker is now on display in the stadium's museum. Thurman Munson never made the Hall of Fame. They have a rule in certain circumstances that you don't have to wait 5 years. Roberto Clemente didn't have to wait 5 years after his death. He got elected. Because Thurman Munson died so quickly, they waived the 5-year rule. The only problem is he only got 15% of the vote. I think his 11 years playing was short, but also he was going up against a bunch of really good players that year. Bob Gibson and some other great players. There were other catchers that were going into World Series, into the Hall of Fame, and Munson, as of today, has never made the Hall of Fame. The Yankees, however, got a plaque, and they put it in the stadium, and it's there to this day. Thurman Munson, really an amazing baseball player at all levels. Defense, offense, clutch. He was a leader in a land of chaos. The Yankees won 2 World Series with him as their captain. Does he belong in the Hall of Fame? I don't know. Maybe that's something you folks can help me with. We have great people who follow these stories, so I want you to jump on in and make comments. Folks, follow me, subscribe, join the club. Some of the smartest baseball people I've ever seen comment on my stories. Let me know your thinking about Thurman Munson, the Yankees of the 70s, and what it takes to get in the Hall of Fame. But for now, let's just give credit to Thurman Munson and that amazing tribute of a game with his friend Bobby Mercer winning the game in the bottom of the ninth. It's a great baseball story. I hope you guys have enjoyed it.